they let him run off, and I don't know where he ended up. So, and again, I'm not sure where they could have taken him. So, so yeah, I mean, those services are really tough to come by, especially if you don't have any money.
Boy, that's a really good place to start. It really talks about the urgency of our agenda. So I want to remind you that this revolution will be televised. If you are going to say anything that you don't want to have be recorded and on YouTube, let Gary know. I want to thank Gary Pierce of the Triangle Talk Show for putting us on Facebook Live and YouTube. And I'm going to mute myself now, and let's all do that so we can sing along with Randa.
Okay. The lyrics are in the chat. It's just woke up this morning. My mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Well, I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh yes, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind just stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh yeah.
Thank you so much, Randa. Thank you, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all. I bring you greetings from Savannah, Georgia. I've been registering voters for the past 3 days, and I'm coming home today, but I'm homesick. I'm really happy to see you all. I can't wait to get home. I've learned a lot. And so what I'm going to just propose that we dive right back into everything that we've been talking about, because the news keeps moving, and it seems like there's been a lot of news in the time that I've been away. I haven't been real up on it as much as usual. So let's just have the first part of this be open. What are the things that you're hearing and thinking about? We're going to have the grannies, but they're going to be last again as a benediction. And because I always love to end on an uplifting note, and the grannies always do that for us. But right now, first, please feel free to make announcements and also talk about what's going on and what are you seeing and hearing.
I'm still very concerned about what's going on at the Pentagon. I'm not at all convinced yet that this thing is over. And it seems to me that Trump is playing chess over there, just removing people, purging it. And I mean, where else would you go if you were going to have a coup?
Thank you for that. Yes, not only has he fired all the people, but he's not letting the Biden team in. It's very concerning, both for national security and for the reason that you mentioned. Yes, thank you.
I'll try and post a link to Dr. Bandy Lee. She has been saying all along how dangerous he is. She's a psychiatrist who wrote the book, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump, and she's concerned about what might happen between now and January 20th.
Thank you, Ellen. Yeah, so Bill Barr has threatened to quit. Yeah.
Keyword.
Good riddance.
Yeah, that's true. Andy, go ahead.
The first dose of the vaccine was administered in the UK, and so that this is the beginning, hopefully the beginning of the end of the virus.
We hope so. We hope so. Yes.
And I also read last night that the Trump administration only ordered 100 million vaccines, and they were given an opportunity back in June to buy more, and they turned it down. I don't know what they were thinking. Has anybody else heard that?
And not only that, but that 100 million is really only 50 million because you have to get 2 shots.
Twice.
Yeah, but
I heard
Doyle, I'm gonna ask Doyle to speak up about this because he knows.
my thought is that Pfizer did not accept any money. They were not recipients of money. They put $2 billion into their own research. So it may well be that Trump is kind of miffed about them as opposed to Moderna that did accept government.
Yes.
But I think the other thing that's very concerning is the consequences of Trump withdrawing from the World Health Organization also have bearing on how vaccines will come into this a country, because we're no longer in the pool. And there are at least 9 vaccine candidates pretty far along in development that we won't have access to because we're not in the WHO.
Wow.
So we compound ignorance with malevolence.
Wow.
Doyle, will that change in after January 20th when we go back into it because of Biden?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I hope so.
I was not aware of that. I mean, I knew about WHO, but I didn't know that it was going to have implications for the vaccine. Also, it seems like the Trump administration has been doing nothing about planning for the distribution of the vaccine. Is that what you're also hearing?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is Tony. I have a question.
Yes.
On the broadcast this morning, CBS, when they showed the shot in England, the broadcaster said this is the first Western vaccine inoculation. Is there anything going on in the eastern part of the world on vaccination?
Yes, I think both in China and in Russia that they are giving people vaccines, but there's quite a bit of skepticism about how good these are, how thoroughly they've been tested. They've not been through an FDA type process, best we know.
I think I heard that they had not gone through phase 3 trials. They just went ahead and started shooting them.
Yeah,
The phase 3 trials are the part about safety.
Yes.
And efficacy.
Yeah, and efficacy. Yeah.
This is the problem with America First. If we would have joined the world and open source this thing, probably we would have had millions of vaccines already available, because the process would have been even quicker with sharing the knowledge, and all the scientists would have been able to get it for free and combine all that stuff, and we would have been well ahead of the game at this point.
Yeah, and so what Trump's trying to do now is to issue an executive order that forces Pfizer to give us all their vaccines, and they've got contracts with countries all over the world and commitments. So that's going to play out very.
Can you invoke the Defense Protection Act to do that? Is that legal?
I don't know.
So these executive orders
AstraZeneca, which is using older technology, can make the vaccines 3 times faster than Pfizer or Moderna.
Yeah. No, speaking of the new technology, my brother, who's not in medicine, sent me an article that I had not seen. It was about the NIH group headed by a doctor named Barney Graham, and he and I were both at Vanderbilt at the same time, a very good virologist who basically developed the technique for this messenger RNA to stimulate a vaccine. And they were already using it with another virus when the COVID thing came along, and they just immediately switched gears. And that is the technology that's behind both Pfizer and Moderna. So all of that research is supported by taxpayer dollars, but it's also built on a couple of decades of basic research, seemingly unconnected, seemingly irrelevant, that's now being harvested. And I really think there's a Nobel Prize in this. I think it's just absolutely fantastic work.
I heard that because of all of that, there will never be another pandemic in the world because that technology is so advanced that they can narrow it down and figure out what to do in a couple of days.
Is that right? Is that right?
I mean, yeah.
Right, Doyle?
Yeah, I think as you know, what China released to the world was the sequence of the genetic code for that virus, and with that, they were able to immediately hone down on the code that for the spike protein, which was the obvious target for the vaccine, make the messenger RNA, then modify it in a way that it would be stable and not broken down. And so now that that's an established method, I think Bessie's right. I think that you could go from sequence of the new virus to product in a very, very short period of time. It's very exciting.
Great.
Have we ever seen this mRNA in humans before?
No, this is new technology. It's never been used.
So we don't know the safety profile in humans yet, right?
Well, that's the purpose of the trials.
Yeah.
And I'm actually part of the Pfizer trial, so they're going to study me for the next 2 years and track what happens.
Our guinea pig.
I'm a guinea pig.
We're proud of you, Mark. No, the news is amazingly good. It's phenomenal.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, and I heard this morning, even with just one shot, you're 70% protected. So the second shot makes it 95.
Go for 2, Mark.
Oh, I got my 2.
Let's just hope that they can manage the cold chain, because really that's going to be crucial in keeping these vaccines viable. A cold chain of that magnitude is not easy to maintain.
Well, it's the Pfizer one. The Medina one doesn't require that. So
right.
It's a
but
bit
we're dealing
easier.
with the Pfizer one right now.
Yeah.
I think we were having 4 more years of Trump, that would be an excuse to exclude the members of the lesser caste in our country. I think the poor people would be excluded because, they don't have the refrigeration.
Mm-hmm. Mark, did you get the vaccine or the placebo?
Well, I don't know officially, but I did have a reaction when I got the second shot. So when I talked to people about it, they seem to agree that it seems apparent that I did. Now, I guess Pfizer will notify me, and I think when it's approved, I'll get notified. So maybe next week or the week after, whether I got it or not, so that I know I should get on the list.
Good.
Did you feel cold running through your body from that shot, from the serum being so cold?
No, they warm it up before they inject you.
Also, I think a greater challenge is education of the public. And I'm thinking if 70 million people who voted the other side refuse to get the vaccine for some reason or another, we may not, we have to have vaccination of almost
70%
in order for this to work.
Mm-hmm.
I think of the children that were not vaccinated early with the measles, and then the outbreaks we've had. But anyway, I'm wondering about North Carolina and its educational task group. I think they're pushing a lot of folks out there to, educate our public. And that's something we may be able to help with, some of us, that are in the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's been discussed in all of this. I mean, we can have all the vaccinations here, but who's going to get them? Who do they trust now with all this, lying and stuff going on?
I'm predicting that Trump will be the chief of the anti-vaxxers after he leaves office. And that could be pretty serious.
Isn't Ron Johnson having an anti-vaxxer in testifying?
Yep.
That's smart.
So have you seen that Lindsey Graham said on Fox News that the Senate wouldn't confirm an attorney general that planned to prosecute Trump for his crimes?
Yes.
They can lie.
It doesn't matter because they're going to prosecute him in New York. He can't do anything about it.
Thanks, Andy.
I'd like the record to show that Lindsay and I are not related.
You didn't need to say anything, Doyle. We just knew.
Karen, you want to tell us more about your experience in Georgia?
Yeah, I would. So I've been working here with a group called Bull City Cares from Durham, and also with Georgia Stands Up from Georgia. I have learned a lot, and part of what I have to say is that, just speaking for myself, I really live in a blue bubble in Durham. And so coming down here and talking to the people here, there are so many people descending on Georgia that what we have been doing is basically sometimes tabling, but mostly standing in parking lots and talking to voters to make sure that they're registered. And most of them are. And talk to them about the importance of this election, because a lot of people felt the presidential election was important, but don't understand the importance of this coming election for Georgia and how it really is going to determine so many things. So that's what we've been doing. And the thing that has really freaked me out is mostly I've not been talking to the white people. The white people are the people that get us kicked off of the parking lots because they don't like that we're doing this. But those that I have talked to, because I'm kind of trying to learn deep canvassing with the people that will talk to me, the white people that I have talked to believe everything that Trump is telling them to a really terrifying extent. And, Trump came to Valdosta, Georgia, while I was here, and I've been trying to kind of train myself to sometimes watch Fox News to kind of figure out what they're saying. And I watched part of his rally here. And, his rhetoric is just getting worse. And I'm sure you've read about this. Less than a tenth of the Republican senators. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. They were trying to get in and change the room. I got a late checkout. Usually checkout is at noon. So, this escalating rhetoric, more and more lies about the things that he says happened in the election that didn't happen. People believe every word of that. These white voters are telling me, well, didn't you see those baskets of ballots that, he showed during his rally, this doctored stuff that's completely false. So, what I'm feeling from being here for 4 days is that, there was this period of time where I had this feeling of great relief and rest, and now we have elected Biden, and he's going to be inaugurated. And I still do believe that. But I'm telling you, we are not even halfway through this. You all know this. You know, Trump has raised now $250 million. And it is so profitable for him to be spreading these lies. And he is so good at it that this cult of Trump is, I think, only expanding. So, yeah, I wish that I had better news. I will say that the Black community in Georgia is beautifully organized, really enthusiastic about this election, or they just don't vote. I hardly found anybody in the middle. Once in a while, there were people who I could register or talk to about this election, but I didn't know that Jehovah's Witnesses didn't vote. Did you know that? Jehovah's Witnesses don't vote, and a lot of other people don't vote too, and they just don't vote.
Right.
So, yeah. Hi, Dewey. Go ahead.
Karen, I think you hit on the way to communicate, whether it's that Black voter that didn't vote last time or all the way to the Trump people, and then it is deep canvassing.
Yes.
You can't just hit somebody up and get over that barrier. It takes almost adopting those people, but it is, and if you see you're going to just hit them up, you've got to have something that they capture, that they go away with. It may be one word or one sentence or whatever, but it's deep canvassing.
Thank you, Dewey. That is what I am really coming to. That is what I think I want to do now, is deep canvassing. And it's so risky to be doing it in person that I think for Georgia and also for the next 4 years, I want to start calling people. And I've never done that because I hate being called. But those people here like Faulkner Fox, who heads Bull City Votes, says that she's finding that people answer the phone during COVID because, you know, more than usual, and that she's having pretty good success with deep canvassing on the phone. So I think it might be the best approach for Georgia and going forward.
Karen, this is Olinda. How you doing?
Hi, Olinda.
I just wanted to let you know, it's very interesting. I'm working with, as you know, with Barbara Unwine, who they have so much boots on the ground and working with the Georgia Coalition, People's Agenda there in Georgia. And they have really got young people out there on the ground and true here. The same thing I learned years ago, that Jehovah's Witnesses are not voters. So that is one of the hurting things, especially in the Black community with the Jehovah's Witnesses, that they are not voting. They do not believe in voting. So, but I just wanted to say to everyone that the group that we're working with, the NAACP, Barbara Unwine, Transformation Justice Coalition, and the other organizations, along with the Repairers of the Breach, that it is so exciting to hear the young people, even a senior in high school, that it has gotten a group of young people working in high schools, that they're making sure that the 18-year-olds are going to be voting in this runoff election. But it is so exciting to hear all these young people who are on the ground. They're doing the good trouble John Lewis March on December the 14th everywhere, about 11 counties in Georgia. And it is tremendously, you know, exciting to be on the line. We're on the line every day at 6:00. I just want to give that little short report.
Oh, I love that. I thank you so much. Thank you so much, Olinda. Yeah, and a lot of those people are here, and I'm really seeing the results of it. Even yesterday, I was in Statesboro, which is about an hour outside of Savannah, and everywhere people have done so much great work. And you're right about the young people. Go ahead, Lib.
What role is the Carter Center playing in this? I haven't heard a thing.
Don't know.
Okay.
Don't know.
Thank you. Thank you for your report.
I read something in the New York Times in the last day or two, and I'm wondering if anyone else has, that they said that the new Georgia project has come to North Carolina. And it also mentioned Texas. Is anybody aware of that happening? I was just real curious about it.
No.
No? Okay.
Karen, it's Laurie.
Hi, Laurie.
Hello. You mentioned earlier that they're not letting the Biden people in earlier, and I was looking for a little bit more clarification on that, because I thought that they actually did start allowing the Biden campaign to begin the transition. Is this something different?
This is something. Yes, they're beginning the transition, but not in the Pentagon.
Oh, it's specific to the Pentagon. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I think he's getting CIA briefings and NSA briefings, but he's not having any luck getting into the Pentagon.
Which is not normal.
Right.
And the guy that he's put in charge over there that's not letting anybody in is this guy, Kash Patel, who was the chief of staff for Devin Nunes. So the circle is rounding.
I want to ask Olinda, are you still there, Olinda? I want to ask if anybody knows what are the best.
I'm here.
Are you doing phone banking with the Transformation Justice Coalition?
We're doing postcards.
Okay. Yeah, I want to put, this week I didn't put anything in the tiny letter about Georgia, really, except that I was going to go there. But this week I want to put all those possibilities, the texting, the phone banking, and the postcards again, so that we all know how we can help in this election. It's so important.
Yeah, they're wanting to make sure that the postcards, I think we're supposed to get our postcards out by December the 15th, but they're still maybe doing, postcarding after that. But of course, you all know the dates of deadlines of everything. So it really a push to do whatever we can do, phone banking, texting, and postcarding, get them out as soon as possible. So we did get 900, so they're out already, and most of them are in the mail.
That's great. And I know a lot of us are doing postcards. I think we are going to have to transition soon to the texting and the phone banking. And Stacey Abrams is asking for money for the campaigns. And just one more time, if you give money to Fair Fight, they split it between Fair Fight and the campaigns. Did people watch the debate? Was the debate on television in Georgia?
Yes, it was on C-SPAN.
Okay.
It was.
However, the David Perdue never showed up.
Right.
And Kelly Loeffler is like a talking Barbie doll.
She is.
I can't count how many times she called him a radical liberal.
Right.
It must have been 100 times. She was awful.
Right. Two such terrible candidates and then two such candidates.
Well, Karen, what do the people in Georgia think about their two current senators when all their insider trading and getting rich while they're in there? Did that come up at all, or?
Actually, I am supposed to avoid talking about candidates working for this organization, but I really feel like the Trumpies will do whatever Trump tells them to do. And I don't think, we're all kind of political hobbyists in addition to the organizing work that we do. We all follow this so closely. And I'm afraid that most people just really don't know and understand. what Kelly Loeffler keeps saying is, she was cleared of all wrongdoing. Yeah, by Mitch McConnell, So, I think that, I think it doesn't register. It seems so obvious to us, but I'm not so sure it's obvious at all to them. But somebody who mentioned voter education is so right. Like it's going to all be about voter registration. And I think deep canvassing. I think the idea of getting people on the phone and seeing if we can get them to talk enough so that they might, I don't know, make a crack in the truth. Have people done this before, deep canvassing on the phone?
Not on the phone.
Yeah. I want to learn more about it.
A little bit. I've done it with Durham for All when we did phone banking for the election. And it's not easy. It's difficult because people want to get off the phone. So you have to find that fine line of being quick and deep. So I found it really interesting, but I think I have to learn about it.
I have done deep canvassing when I was working with the farm workers, and the big thing is you've got to start by asking a question. Introduce yourself and ask a question. Get them talking about what their concerns are.
Yeah.
It's the only way to keep them on the phone.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my main takeaway.
Yeah, that's great, and I think it's so consistent with Reverend Barber's work. Like really building community. And it's really consistent with what we talked about last week. A number of people brought up like the rural-urban divide. And I feel like for us to maybe, I went to a meeting of the North Carolina Team Democracy, the group that did the events in Durham, and then 2 events in Raleigh on the 14th and the 21st. And they are going to have 2 more meetings, and they're planning an action on the 13th. I'm not sure what the action is going to be, but the thing that's exciting about that group is that it's a bunch of rural organizations. They're in almost every county in North Carolina. So for us to also maybe keep in touch with them might be a good idea. Maple, go ahead.
Oh, just a quick one. For me, it was only that I knew about deep canvassing is in person, so I don't know anything about the phone. Yeah, it would be almost, I can't even imagine because they just want to hang up usually anyway. And but I've met people that believe in and have gone back to neighborhoods, like when I was campaigning for Bernie and canvassing for Bernie door to door in 2016 and 2019. And they go back like 6, 7 times. So it's this ongoing conversation. First, you're just hi, hello, friendly. And so it's like a relationship almost with these voters. That's what I've heard. Anyways, I wanted to share that. And thanks, Karen, for it's very interesting to hear you.
No, thank you for saying just that. It's like this food program Fed Up. Our point is not just to provide food, but also to build relationships, to build power, people who have felt powerless, just forming relationships with people and letting them know they can vote. Their vote makes a difference. I feel like all of that kind of fits together.
Karen, you mentioned Dr. Barber. He has published what he's calling 14 policy priorities to heal the nation for the first 100 days.
Yes, thank you. Jan put this in the chat early on, and I'm going to repost it. It's really good. There we go. Yeah, thanks, Bessie. I'm feeling like these labels of progressive, right, left, red, blue, they get in the way. If we can talk to people about their financial situation, about COVID, about how they're feeling, I think the main thing that I'm taking away from talking to people here is people are suffering. Everybody's suffering.
Or everybody's numb. It's like the people who are not suffering so much are numb with it all. And so how do we help them re-access those parts of them that are compassionate and caring?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, and also privilege is dissociation, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can I segue into something that I probably many of us are already involved, but perhaps to remind people that hunger is really very acute in North Carolina right now, of course, all over the country. But in North Carolina, the food group has been supporting a few specific campaigns to feed folks. And I was wondering if people on the food group would be willing to, or we should share the websites or the contacts for those specific food campaigns so that other people on this call can contribute. Because right now, those groups are really hurting for lack of funding. So if we could repost what those groups are. One of them is the Moore County NAACP. Another one is Fed Up. Another one is the Bonley Food Pantry. Another one is
Mustard Seed. Mustard Seed.
Right. So Mustard Seed is local Durham, but if there's any leftover money, folks, that you haven't sent down to Georgia, if you could support the food groups that we'll put in the chat, because they're really hurting right now.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Lori.
So, Karen.
Hi, Al.
I'm not Olinda. This is Al.
Hi.
Back to, you were talking about Reverend Barber. I spent 4 hours with him yesterday, and he was telling about talking to Joe Biden. They have a real close relationship with the Biden transformation team, and so Biden was saying to him, "I don't know where to put repairs of the breach." That's the name we go by on these kinds of things. And he said, where do we put it? Do we put it in economics or in civil rights? And, so we were talking about it, and you remember the old saying, is it race or class? And the answer is what? Yes. So we laughed about that. He says, that's what we're going to do. The next time Biden says, where can we categorize you?
Really benevolent.
You say yes.
That is so great.
Pulling us into our best.
So the whole, what that means is that even this taking Florno out, which, our friends in Pink, what's it, Code Pink, the ones they took her out and put, got this black general in there who Biden likes. That happened just this morning in the Department of Defense, which it shows that he is very, Biden and Kamala are so sensitive to the mass movements. And what we Tuesday with Tillis, in my view, lacks is identifying a lot of people like on these calls, and certainly when we were down on Tuesday, all seem to like Reverend Barber and Poor People's Campaign, which is our mass name. I really encourage people to move as much as we can toward being a part of that, and that helps you stay in touch with Reverend Barber, and he's got the report he gave yesterday of what they've done with 45. They have 45 state bases, so like Tuesday with Tillis, basically, sort of like this, of very integrated with 4 people at the table, and many Christians and Jewish and Muslim people at the table, etc. That's it.
So, it's so wonderful to see your face and hear from you, Al. And what you're saying is we should all be connected with the repairs of the breach, the Poor People's Campaign.
Yeah, at the very least, check in its website all the time. And there's stuff happening every day. They're just, Barber is obsessed with Mitch McConnell. He wants him. And I'm obsessed, as you know, with William Barr. We've forwarded our impeach Barr thing to G.K. Butterfield. It's being passed around Congress right now. And it looks like he might duck out without being held accountable. His shredding machines are working overtime. That's the word on Capitol Hill. One of the reasons why Trump is dragging this out is because the shredding machines can't work fast enough. They're really trying to destroy evidence left and right. He's raising money and destroying evidence. Those are the 2 things that Trump is doing.
Are you worried that this slow-moving coup will be successful?
What I'm worried about is what you were reporting from Georgia and the Trump people. What a lot of white progressives, like which most of us are totally unaware of the fact that if you're black and you walk down the street, let's say where we are, Southern Pines, walk down the street, every white person you see, one out of 3 of the white people you see knows that they support a race war, basically, that they voted for and support a race war. That's what is underlying the Trump base right now. They want, and they've got arms. They got AK-47s. They got Russia working with them. Still, Russia is sending out its bots as we speak. So, as you know, I now have a column with the Wilmington Journal, and I've been working real hard down in Wilmington, but I just wrote a column on the race war. What are the odds that what did black masses, which people talk about it within black organizations, etc. But white people don't have that same feeling. They're not the targets of the race war.
And I know you're working really closely with Reverend Spearman. So what is the most important thing that you would tell us to do as individuals and as Tuesdays with Tillis? Well, we need to, I always say kind of, if you can't be black, you can empathize with black people. That's number one. And the first thing to do is to try to learn. You can Google race war and stuff like that. Try to learn the basis for this fear that black people have. And it's it's like in Atlanta. I'm sure there are black people who are afraid to go out and vote in Atlanta, in Georgia. I say Atlanta, but I mean Georgia, because Trump comes down there and stirs all that stuff up. He just did it the other night. Those were the Klan. Those people were Klan people. They come out to hear him, about half of them, in Georgia. That's his base, and we're just totally unaware of it. We don't think like black people. So
educate yourself as to the history of the Klan and of George Wallace. It's really the George Wallace address list that was turned over to the Nixon and the Republican Party back in the 60s. The American Independent Party is what George Wallace called it. That's the basis for Trump's contacts in the South.
Yeah, I had a real sense in some of these parking lots, a real sense of the racial intimidation.
Yeah.
And one thing that I'm seeing is that the organization Standing Up for Racial Justice, SURJ, is doing deep canvassing with white people on the phone. There's going to be one on Saturday. I'm going to try to get the tiny letter out with the link. And the following Saturday. Ocasio-Cortez has talked about this, the importance of anti-racist deep canvassing. And I think for the next years, this is going to be a big task for us.
Yeah.
Because there is so much ignorance. Most of us here have done the Racial Equity Institute training. It does continue on Zoom. And although I've done part 1 a couple times, I haven't done part 2, and I'm planning to do that. But REI, the Racial Equity Institute, I think you're right, Al, that the more we know, and then we can't unknow it, and then we just have to act as much as we can. So,
yeah, I believe that part of our heritage, which I heard in people talking of Tuesday with Tillis, is Bernie Sanders as number 1 and MSNBC number 2. And both of those two, let's say, ways people got into the movement are weak on racism. In some ways, CNN is better on racism than MSNBC. MSNBC likes, has Morning Joe and stuff like that. They liquidate racism half the time. They think by putting 1 or 2 black people up there, or my friend Al Sharpton on occasionally, that now we know how black people feel. That's not true. The brother from Princeton, he's the one that really keeps it honest, and I love him, and Reverend Barber knows him real well. But we don't get the an anti-racism thrust from either Bernie Sanders or from MSNBC. Rachel, I watch Rachel every night.
Can I ask a question?
Hold on, Lib. He is often on 4 o'clock with Nicole Wallace.
Yes.
And his book, Begin Again, I really recommend that book. It's about James Baldwin. Yeah, go ahead, Lib.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Go ahead, Lib.
Okay, my question is, will, considering the threat to voters in Georgia, will it has voter protection organized to accompany them?
Yeah, the group that Lynn and I were with, Jesse Jackson and Barbara Arnwine, the Transformative Justice Coalition, it's called. As Barbara Arnwine developed the first hotline, the number that's still being used. Actually, she was the director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law in D.C. for years. She's a great supporter of Reverend Barber, and Jesse is too. So they're down there, at least figuratively, not literally. I think that some of them are actually in Atlanta now. And they're going to do the same kind of thing we did here, Karen. Use those caravans with big pictures of John Lewis and go around and say make good trouble and all this kind of stuff. They just raise hell. They don't get out of their cars. It's a really interesting thing. They figured out how to do it. They did it in Philadelphia. Rousing black people to vote in Philadelphia. They went to Detroit and did it. It's kind of an old-fashioned, just getting out and banging pots, raising hell. waking people up.
I think we can learn so much from what they're doing and what they're going to be doing for North Carolina going forward. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Karen, I have some questions.
Yes, Susan.
Hi. Is there any resource for the deep canvassing training?
I think that Surge is doing deep canvassing on Saturday afternoon, and I'm sure they're providing training.
And what's that stand for?
Standing Up for Racial Justice.
Oh, thank you. And also the book you were mentioning, I missed the title and the author.
Thank you. It's Eddie Glaude, Glaude, and it's called Begin Again. And it's a book about James Baldwin, very timely.
Yes. Wow, great.
Quite beautiful.
Yeah.
If you're looking up Surge, it's actually showing up for racial justice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What was the first word?
Showing up.
Showing up. Okay, thank you.
I'll put that link in, try to get the tiny letter up Friday. But it's Saturday afternoon and next Saturday afternoon from 1 to 4. Oh, Doyle, yes. This book, Cast, I'm reading this right now.
Yes.
Say a few words about Cast.
You know how to put off the...
I think a lot of what we were just discussing is covered so well there in terms of the history of racism in the U.S. The thing that really strikes me, I just remember over my life just being so disgusted and judgmental toward South Africa with their apartheid, et cetera. And, and of course the Holocaust with the Nazis. And it's just striking to, in this book, to have to reflect on the fact that we established a caste system with the arrival of the first Africans to our shores, and that has been maintained all these years. And her thesis is that this is the basic issue. That racism is part of it, but what the people, the whites are concerned about is being displaced from their highest caste position. That's just core. It's an incredibly well-researched and well-written book.
Thank you. I recommend that book too.
I'm also reading the book, and I wondered if anybody would want to meet a couple of times to talk about the book, like a small study group kind of thing, just a couple of times. So I'll just throw that.
I would, because I'm reading it too. So maybe we can put our emails in the chat.
Yeah, me too. I think it'd be a great idea. Maybe we could do it maybe we could plan on next Tuesday. It could be right after Tuesday the Tillis. People could just stay on if they want.
That's a good idea.
Would we have to have completed the book by then?
No.
Nah.
Okay.
So Evelyn, do you want to put your email in the chat?
I will.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Other resources? We have a few more minutes. Resources and announcements?
I would highly recommend the Norfolk Catholic Worker newsletter. Steve Baggerly is the editor. He's brilliant, and he makes all kinds of connections. He did his August issue was on the historical legal racism, legally mandated and legally enshrined, basically the caste system set up in the United States. So it's just, they always have good stuff, but that article especially is good. And I actually had them send it to me so I could send it out too. I could send it to you, Karen, and then you could send it out if people want it.
Oh, okay. So it's an email.
Well, he sent it as an attachment to me so that I could share it.
Okay. So send it to, Jewel, where are you, Jewel? Jewel sends out the chat.
Okay.
For everyone. And if anyone doesn't get the chat, put your email in so that Jewel can add you. Yes, you're nodding your head. Thank you. Send it to Jewel so she can send it out with the chat because it sounds like it's an email and not a link. Anyone who has links, feel free to put them in the chat so that everyone will get them later. Good. Anything else? New announcements? Resources? Karen? Yeah.
I want to let you know that there is going to be another Women's March again in 2021. It's scheduled for January 23rd, Saturday. They're working on 3-tier thing, having it a little bit in person, a little bit of a march, and a big car caravan and online. And they're working on figuring out how to balance those things. So, and if anybody wants to help volunteer, they are looking for people that know how to do car caravans because they don't have anybody on the current committees. So if you know the car caravan thing, especially, look for the Women's March to help them figure it out.
Yeah, we're getting pretty good at car caravans, actually.
I know, they're fun.
They are fun. Anything else before we have the grannies?
Karen, I want to ask about Bucky's and the grannies last week.
Bucky's. How did it go with Bucky's?
So last night, the Orange County Board of Commissioners met, and every public comment was an anti-Bucky comment. We sincerely hope that the commissioners will vote against rezoning next Tuesday on the 15th, which is a time you can register for vote. I would also like to announce that last night at the Orange County Board of Commissioners chose to adopt a resolution for reparations. So I was very pleased that happened last night.
Thank you. Hard work by you and so many people.
Everybody's a team. We're working on it so hard, and really nobody wants Bucky's anyway.
Thank you so much. Mike, we just have a few minutes. Michael, Eisenberg, and Andy. Then Andy, go ahead. Oh, you're muted, honey. You're muted.
Speaking of the chat, I just wanted to give a big shout out to Jill.
Yeah, thank you.
She does a tremendous job, and I really appreciate all the hard work she puts in, and so deserving of compliments. It's terrific. And one other quick comment I read this morning, very, very depressed and sad, that 25% of millennials do not believe the Holocaust ever happened. Yes, you can hold your head. It's awful.
We got our work cut out for us, don't we? Yeah. Andy, go ahead.
Another story that we didn't really talk about that I think is important that we need to keep an eye on is the story of the Florida Department of Health woman whose house was raided last night.
Yes, thank you.
That's a kind of a frightening one, and whether or not DeSantis has had his hand in it and all of that. Also, happy Hanukkah, everybody, because that starts on Thursday.
Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Andy. Okay, shall we have the grannies sing, and then Scarlett's going to send us out. Thank you, everyone, so much.
Good morning, everybody. The grannies know that everybody's been working on Georgia stuff this month, and Karen was in Savannah, so we put our heads together and wrote a new song called Georgia on My Mind, Vote Them In. So here we go.
We've got Georgia on our minds, sure could use a win. And old McConnell's jaw will drop if these two Dems got in with the vote here and a vote there. Here a vote, there a vote, everywhere that Georgians vote. Old McConnell's jaw will drop if we turn Georgia blue.
Registering folks to vote. Some have traveled far. Air Force 1 and 2 are there, thinking they're the stars. But we also have postcards here, donations there, phone banks, letters everywhere. Old McConnell's jaw will drop if we turn Georgia blue.
Our community is weighing in to organize and build power. We have to mobilize to win. It's the challenge of the hour. With a vote here and a vote there. Here a vote, there a vote, everywhere Georgians voting. Old McConnell's jaw will drop if we turn Georgia blue.
We've got Georgia on our minds because democracy's at stake. Warnock, Ossoff, we need you for all humanity's sake. With a vote, vote here and a vote, vote there. Here a vote, there a vote, everywhere the Georgians vote. And old McConnell's jaw will drop when we turn Georgia blue.
Quack, quack. Oh, you made this Georgia girl laugh.
I love it.
That was great. You know, our friend Susan often closes us with the words, shine on. I love to hear her say it when she says, shine on. And as was mentioned just a few minutes ago, on the 10th, our Jewish friends will celebrate the first night of Hanukkah. Now, Larry and I aren't Jewish, but our Creekside friends here have adopted us as part of the tribe. So we'll go down to our park in front of the community center and celebrate as that first candle is lit on the menorah. It commemorates hope, hope for the downtrodden. And that candle declares, don't lose hope. Keep working and fighting for justice. And that's exactly what we do. So even if you don't light a candle, keep that hope alive and burning in your heart. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. So forward together.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Thank you all so much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Al and Olinda. Thank you, Jewel. Thank you, Scarlett. Thank you, Grannies. Thank you, Doyle.